أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده سبحانه وتعالى ونصلي على رسول الله محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له بيده الخير وبيده الأمر وهو على كل شيء قدير، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق هاديا ومبشرا ونذيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Praise be to Allah, the creator of mankind, and peace and blessings on our beloved Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We Muslims, when we need to establish the rules of our religion, and when we want to practice the tenets of Islam, we need to do it not just as the Quran explained it, but also as Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam clarifies it also. So you need both, and you cannot function with the Quran alone, because there are many things we may not understand. And thus we need the prophetic tradition, the sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to understand how he practiced Islam and how we can practice Islam also as well. And of course, people may say, while he practiced Islam in the year 600, like we say 610, and today we are in the year 2014. So almost 2,000 years. Then how can you bring an interpretation of Islam almost 2,000 years old? This issue is debated today amongst Muslims. Don't forget. And it does not mean really we are rejecting the Sunnah. What I would say, we are rejecting maybe culture, not the Sunnah itself, but maybe the way, whether you can do it this way or the other way. And certainly there are issues, like we say, untouchable. Well, we pray this way. I mean, you cannot play game with the prayer. And the reason we cannot play game with the prayer, it has to be prayed this way, because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam confirmed that. He said, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." So you pray the way I pray. So someone today who is an American-born Muslim may come and say, why should I pray and say Surah Al-Fatiha at the time when I do not understand Surah Al-Fatiha? So I want to read Surah Al-Fatiha in English. We say, well, if If you want, you can even read it in Chinese. Who's stopping you? But if you are looking to legitimize, we say no, I'm sorry. We cannot legitimize what you are doing. You can pray the way you like, it's up to you. So there are issues that we cannot touch, but there are many issues that we can touch. And look at these rugs now. Can we say that, the original masjid was made from al-jarid? That's what they say. Jarid is a certain, certain thing that people used to connect and then put it on the ground and pray on it. And isn't it true that we have Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said that from the prayer, the hasir, that's the carpet or the place, that the hasir would affect his feet and his legs, because he would spend long time doing prayers. Now look at that comfort. And if we put like cheap rug, imagine the criticism. But we say, hey, look, all right, we're gonna do everything. We can. There's nothing concrete here. There are things not on concrete, so we can work it out. And of course, look at that. We have chairs. Can we say that? Oh, the original masjid has no chairs. Let's move the chairs. The original masjid has no donation box. Let's move the donation box. We cannot say that. So it means I am able to bring the 2,000 years ago Islam, I'll bring it into 2014. And I'll make sure that I work out the dots to make sure that we do not miss the principles. But if I can do things in a different way without violating the principle, then I will do it. When I meant to talk about this issue, the future of Islamic centers or masajid in America, I had in mind to put, instead of future, to put smart masjid. That was in my mind. And of course I said, how come today in the 21st century I have a smartphone? And what is smartphone? The smartphone means you have a system that can function in different ways. And imagine, like, Muslims and non-Muslims really are running to buy smartphones. And then after a smartphone, I started to hear about smart TV, where the TV you can have a TV function in a dual way. And then we have a smart car. Why don't we have smart masjid? And I'm serious in that. I'm not like trying to bring fun or anything. I'm serious. I need smart masjid. And when we say smart masjid, I can call the original masjid that was built in Quba and then al-Masjid al-Nabawi, I can call them smart masjid, really. It is we who are not able to understand how the Islamic center or the masjid can function to serve the needs of the Muslims. And here is now, we say that what was the concept of building a masjid during the time of our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Well, first, I need to do some like historical background about the masjid. And to talk about the masjid and the salat and to say that they go together, I would really debate this issue. They don't. And then you may ask me, why? I said, yeah, the masjid, when the masjid was built, was not built right after the salat became obligation. All right, let's talk about historical perspective. When was the prayer was furidat, like became as fard, an obligation on the Muslims? Now, who can give me an answer to that? Can you give me any particular time? Particular event?
The night when the Prophet went to
Isra, right? Yeah. And this is when? Before Hijrah or after Hijrah? After Hijrah. After Hijrah, right? Not after Hijrah. Isra and Mi'raj before Hijrah. Okay. How far away? Like, what is the exact? Like we say the Isra and Mi'raj, they say that it happened during the 11th year in Mecca. Some they say the 10th. So to be on the safe side, I would say the Salat became fard on the Muslims 2 years or 18 months before the Hijrah. Now tell me, was there any masjid built in Mecca?
No.
At that time? No. So there was no masjid built. So to connect the salat to the masjid is fine. But to say that the salat, the masjid is for the salat, is not fine. It is for the salat, but it is to fulfill the needs of the community. All right. Now, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam took his hijrah. Okay, he made his hijrah, and it was said that he stopped. He arrived. His first stop was Quba, right? Do you know about Quba? Some background about Quba? So Quba has a famous masjid, okay? And they said that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam built Masjid Quba. Well, hold on. I need to talk something here. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stayed in Quba for 4 days. You know, Quba was like a rest area before continue to Medina. So it seems that Quba was known to be a rest area for the Muslims whenever they go to between Medina and Mecca. So coming from Mecca, they stop first in Quba, and there are some narrations here that the Muslims established the Masjid of Quba so that they can do the prayer during their trips between Mecca and Medina. But there are other narrations that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the one who did that. And then when you look at the short-term stay, 4 days, 4 days, a masjid can be built. And most likely, they said when they arrived at Quba, they did the prayer there. So the place was there, available. So we do not say that the masjid, the salat, became as an obligation in Medina. It's not in Medina. It was in Mecca. But there are like mixed things. Like when you talk about Salat al-Jum'ah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. Believers, when you hear the call of prayer on Friday, then you hasten into to do the Salat. Now they said Surah Al-Jumu'ah is Madaniyah, and from that time the Jum'ah started to take place. But they said, well, hold on, there are still other things that we need to talk about. That after Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stayed 4 days in Quba, and he did the masjid, or the masjid was already there, and he moved the 5th day, he took his way into Medina. But the next day, the historians say that the next day was Friday. So on his way, and there is a term, Batn al-Wadi. Batn al-Wadi means at the bottom of the valley. He said he stopped there in a place belonged to Bani Salim ibn Auf, and he prayed Salat al-Jumu'ah. And according to the seerah, that he led the prayer with 100 people. 100 people participated in Salat al-Jumu'ah on that day. And then he did Salat al-Jumu'ah, and then he continued to Medina. So all these, you find it. Now, we find that the masjid was serving a purpose not just for prayers, but also it was for the need of the people. It could be the people will stop in this place for Bani Salim ibn Auf, not just to pray, but also to sleep. It could be that Quba was also a rest area that served the needs of the Muslims during their time when they traveled between Mecca and Medina. That's what. Now we go to the serious issue here, that the establishing of the masjid. And I already said that, look, almost 18 months or 2 years, as we say, and some will say more, from the time the Salat was established and became obligation on the Muslims until the time of arrival into Medina, there was no masjid. But in Medina, and of course, the background here, that when Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam arrived into Medina, the people received him. And the people received him, welcomed him, and the people of Medina were not really rich people, as we say, but they were known, they were hospitable. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was faced with really difficult situation here, as everyone wants to host him, and he wants to find a smart way that's equal to smartphone. Smart way to bring the people and not discourage the people of following him. So he came up with the idea. He was riding his camel, and he said, "Let my camel decide."
Yeah.
And he used the term, دعوها فإنها مأمورة. So he left the matter for Allah to decide, where rarely after that you can see that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would let a matter to be decided by Allah. He would plan, execute, and then tawakkul. Rely on Allah for the result. So when you look at the battle of Badr, he did not tell the Muslim, and let's go, Allah will take care of us. No, he called them where? In his masjid. So the masjid was a place for consultation. So it was a parliament here. He called them and said, what should we do? Give me ideas. The battle of Uhud, gather them, give me ideas. And the battle of Al-Khandaq, the ditch, gather the Muslims, give me ideas. I need ideas here. So this is how, just to have an idea, how the affairs of Muslims were conducted. But there were times, especially like a situation like that. If I said I want to go to this place, even though he can have an excuse, because he was in an area what we call in the area of his akhwal, cousins. Akhwal, those are cousins from the mother side, Bani Najjar. They were there. And he can say, well, I'll go to sleep at my Khali's house, my uncle's house, finish. Well, he said no. Still, he wants to do something unique. So he said, دعوها فإنها مأمورة. He said, he was on his camel, and then he said, let my camel decide. And Allah will decide for this. And then they let the camel start to walk. And according to the seerah, that the camel went forward, went backward, went forward, went backward. He sat on a place, then stood up. Then he went to another place, then stood up, and then back to the same place and rested there. Where? And it was the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. And Abu Ayyub al-Ansari was not a rich person. But the camel made the decision, Allah made the decision. So Allah inspired the camel to go and say, and by that, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam managed to bring the community together and build the first masjid. And they say that where the camel rested was the first masjid was built for Muslims, and it's called until today Masjid al-Madinah. How about Quba? Well, there is a hadith that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, "Man tawadda fa asbagha al-wudu," like you make perfect wudu. And then he went to Masjid Quba, وجاء Masjid Quba, and فصلى فيه, and prayed in this masjid. How much? ركعتين, 2 rak'ah. What will happen? He said, كان له أجر عمرة. So he will receive a reward equal to performing the Umrah. Masjid Quba is very important. It is historical. It marks the first place where Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and led Muslims in prayers. But when we say the Masjid of An-Nabi, there is a saying that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, "O Allah, move me from the best area that I like to a best place that you like." So he was moved. He likes Mecca, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted Medina to be the center where Muslims will function. And you find here in Surah Al-Balad, لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد. He said, I swear by this town. And the people may think that this town was Mecca, but he said, أنت حل means you exist there, you live there. So it was an indication that this was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the qasam, he swore by the Medina. So the Medina is very important for the Muslims, and Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam built the masjid. And what this masjid, like the functioning of this masjid, I want you really, I want you to search this and how the masjid of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to function, in what way. And especially like when we say, he said Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was leading the prayer, and then a man came and started to urinate in the masjid. What does that mean? And how people jump on him. They want to punish him, and then how Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, leave him alone and let him finish. And then he came, did some education to the man. It should help us learn something about the functioning of the masjid at that time. And believe me, if you search and you read very well about this subject, you will find that this masjid was called Smart Masjid because it served the needs of the community. Today, we pose the question, how Islamic centers and masajid are functioning in the United States. So let's count. Place for prayer, right?
Yeah.
What else? Sunday school. And some have full time. And halaqa, ta'aleem. And what else?
Funeral home.
Huh?
Funeral home.
Huh?
Funeral home.
Funeral home. Not funeral home. Well, yeah, okay, funeral home. Because here by law, if they hear you, you will be in trouble. You cannot have funeral home in the masjid. It's against the law. But they do it in a certain way. So we don't want to. So, the question now, you tell me, are we fulfilling the needs of the Muslims?
No.
And I doubt that anyone will say yes, will say no. And what is important today for you, for every Muslim? And let's start from the birth, okay? I'm not going to say the first couple of months after a baby is born, but I'll say maybe 1 year, first year. If the husband is working and the wife is working, who will take care of the baby?
Babysit.
Yeah, so they have to go here and there and there and there. And those parents, that's what they say. Why the masjid is not taking care of that? So it means, when you talk about Islamic center and masjid, you need to look at the community. I mean, you don't look only to the people who say, I want to pray. I mean, I can pray home, I can. وَجُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. I'm not saying that we should not build masajid. That Rasul said, the whole earth is masjid for me. But I really cannot discourage the idea of building a masjid for prayer. No. On the contrary, and I want in every 5 blocks, I need a musalla, a place, masjid for people to pray. That's a different issue here. But when we speak of Islamic centers here, the picture is bigger. I want to look at the needs of my community. And I start from the first year, and second year, the third year, fourth, fifth year. Muslims will say, where is the Islamic Center? Why they don't have a program for our children? I mean, here we work for our children, and every one of us. There is no doubt. Those who are married, they have children. That's what they say. Those who are not, they should work. They should work on these issues so that when they get married, they have things ready for them. So that the man, they pass by like an old man, and he's planting a tree. And someone asked him, said, look, are you sure that you will be alive when this tree would bear fruits? And he said, زَرَعُوا فَأَكَلْنَا وَنَزْرَعُوا لِيَأْكُلُوا. He said, our forefathers planted and we ate. Now it's our turn. We plant so that the next generation will eat. So I'm not here really talking about only married people. I'm talking about for everyone, that we should think of that, and how can we turn the Islamic Center into a smart Islamic Center that can fulfill the needs of the people. And what else? Fulfill the needs. I said, I did say it. So from year 1 until 99, what we say. You know, when I was a child, I used to buy a magazine. At that time, we did not have computer and smart this and smart that. So we used to buy a magazine for children. And it was cartoon. And they used to say, he said, يقرأها الجميع من 9 إلى 99. Everybody can read this from age 9 until age 99. So we'll say age 1 until 99. People need to have their needs to be met by Islamic centers. Because I'm in America. I don't live somewhere else. I don't live somewhere else. I understand that in Muslim countries, the situation is different. But in America, we have a different system here. That we have a government that tells you that I'll help you fill up your pocket. That's it. I will not be able really to help you of how to raise your child. And those, we Muslims, today we have this trouble for us. Those ISIS wants to do the Khilafah, and that. Why don't we make the Islamic centers, make the Khilafah here? Who's going to say no to you? Not make Khilafah to bomb here and bomb there. No. But set a system of administration where if you succeed, non-Muslims will come and learn from you. And the same how non-Muslims learn from the Muslims of Spain. How you read the history about Muslims of Spain and how non-Muslims started to learn from them. And when you form an administration here and put a system and learn how to handle your affairs, that's one of the ways we learn how to function and how we understand the issue of establishing Sharia amongst ourselves. There's nothing wrong if you said, I want to establish Sharia amongst ourselves here, and nobody will stop us really. But still you have to pay tax to Uncle Sam. I'm not saying don't start now misunderstanding me, but I'm saying there are many things that Islamic centers can offer to the community. And there is something like For example, on Sunday, you look at many Islamic centers, if not all. Where are the teens and the teenagers? Where are they? What are they? I don't see them here. You don't see them on Friday. You don't see them on Sunday school. You don't see them anywhere in the masjid. And of course, we cry. And sometimes we blame the father, and the father blame the mother, and the mother blame the Islamic center, and we keep blaming each other without looking for a solution. And what is the solution? I tell you, it's very easy. It's very easy if we want to make it easy. What it would attract a teenager to make him or her come to the masjid? That's all. Pose this question to you and say, how can I attract my child to come to the masjid? And if 5 parents, they started to talk among themselves, let's find a way to attract our teenagers. Some people, they came up with idea, and they said, okay, we're gonna bring to the masjid big screen, because teenagers on Sunday, are busy watching football. Okay, I said, I'm gonna bring football to the Islamic center. I'll bring the screen, I'll bring the TV, and let them come. And at least when I say Allahu Akbar, 1 o'clock, they will come and pray with me. Many of the Sahaba, they spoke about themselves. And they said, we used to accept Islam just for the food, nothing else. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, even though, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, Aisha would say, we would stay days on Al-Aswadain. It survived with dates and water. And look at that, he said, we used to take Islam for food. So things was different. So it is true that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived a life as a poor person, but he was rich. So those Sahaba, they say, we used to take Islam for the food, and just after a while, Islam would become more dear to us than our life. You look at that here. So when I say you need to bribe your child to bring him here, I mean it. You have to find the way here. And the worst way is to say, oh, this is against Islam, I cannot do it. You think it's not against Islam to lose our children? Is it against Islam or not? Which sin is bigger? When those teenagers are left to their internet and this and they do whatever they want, and the parents are at the masjid busy with the little one, at the time when we know that the little one is not more serious than the teenager. The teenager is more serious than the little one. But the little one, we are happy with it because we tell him, come on, let's go. He say, yes, sir, I'll go. But teenager, I want to go. I don't have time. But let's go and learn religion. He say, oh, I know about that. And what is this religion? Five pillars of Islam. I memorized them. No, there's nothing for them. So we say, okay, I want to do something that can attract them to come. And if I come up with some ideas, they will come. And let me tell you this. Last week, they made the announcement about iPhone 6. Okay, I'm not doing advertisement for that. But you heard about in London how people put tents from now, even though they told them September 20, iPhone is available. September 10, and the people put tents and they sleep next to the store who will distribute iPhone. 10 days and wait now. Wait here in the United States and see how the people will stay in line in order to get the iPhone. How can I make my child beg me to come to the Islamic Center? That's what we know. That's what we need to really think and come up with solution. And there is no standard solution. Never think of that. There is no standard solution because each area has a different variety of communities and variety of people, how to understand Islam and all these things. Each area is separately. You have business area. Business area is different. And you have residential area, Islamic centers. So each center is different, and it's not necessary to make rules for one center and say spread it all over. Say no. Each community needs to learn how we can get together, plan how to attract people outsiders. And charity starts at home. Before I start planning how to bring non-Muslims here, I plan how to bring Muslims here. Because all work on both of them. One committee will work on this issue, one committee will work on this issue. So maybe we'll stop here. And I wanted to stop even if I don't know. This watch is no good.
You have about...
Yeah, we have some time. So those who would like really to come up with some discussion about this subject, whether these ideas are possible, is it possible to have smart Islamic centers? Or we are happy with that and that's it. صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Yes.
I was listening to you and you raised a lot of issues, tons of them, from a different direction. And I think what it means is the concept itself needs to be built as a model.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk about the political as Khalifa,
Mm-hmm.
or as a social center, you define the masjid very well. You said masjid not only for praying, but it could be, but as a concept it is praying and social activities all time. So in your last statement that the kids is one social activity. And how to attack it, that's a little different. I mean, maybe you have a court tennis or basketball or those type of things, but this is a small part of a concept, a bigger concept. Centralized system, as you said for Khalifa, should we have a centralized system that it works all under that center and it will manage the whole thing in more open minded. I think somebody has to, scholar who is doing some research in the area, has to come up with a really thoughtful system model, and I think it will be the best thing for, especially for us who live outside, as a guide, and it will build the structure for every area, maybe in the United States, all of it.
Well,
and it will even encourage people to make money and to do a lot of things, as what you said for the kids.
you know what I said, that we need to plan for Islamic centers to serve the needs. I'm not saying about anything else. I am saying like Brighton. Okay, I don't want to talk about Boston. I will say Brighton. And I want to build a sophisticated, smart Islamic center that takes care of the needs of all Muslims from age 1 year until 99. You know, man, that's not easy. I mean, it is a project. But this project, we can say that this project for 2030. Don't you need to start early enough? You need to start early. So the ideas need to start now because it will take time to bring, like you said, scholar, I'll bring an architect. You know, I tell you about houses. 35 years ago or 40 years ago or maybe, no, 45 years ago. You know, Brother Riyad, I think you have your smart house today. 45 years I used to have my smart house. And I tell you how. My smart house was 2 rooms or 3 rooms. One we eat, one for my parents to sleep, and one for all of us, 5, 6, 7 brothers to sleep. And my parents used to sleep in where the living room is. All what we do, that we have an area like this, what we say 6 by 4 or 6 by 3. We fold the beds, we put them on top of each other, we cover them, nice cover, and we finish. And the whole day, one room is used to living room for the guests and for us to sit and talk to each other. One room that was condensed for us to sleep, and one room to cook and eat. That's what we say. Today you go to a house of so-and-so, hey, palace. 5, I heard the brother, he has 10 bathrooms in the house.
One per person.
10 bathrooms, and then this room, and this room, and this room, and this one to play ping pong, and this one to pray, and this one for where we sit and watch, and this one for the computer, and this one for my humbled brothers, and this one for big shot brothers. So look at that. I mean, it's time to rethink ourselves. That I can do an Islamic center, and I don't need a scholar, I need an architect. I give him idea. How would I give him idea? I don't need a scholar to give ideas, I need the people. The people can come, talk, bring ideas, how we function of an Islamic center. Let's say I want to build an Islamic center, and I have this Islamic center as like 7 rooms. One big room, I want to use this big room for multiple activities, where I can do this at the same time. The way how I carry my cell phone, and I tell you I can do email, I can talk to you, I can see the internet, I can draw something, I can put appointment, I can put with the same place, same small machine. So we can do many things if we are really smart enough to understand our needs. And we can understand our needs and what our children needs to have, what our daughters need. You know, I have some daughters, they like to swim, and going to YMCA or here and there, you have to wait when there is for women, and if there is time for women, you see men who are walking here and there, and they tell you this is private for women. We need to think about that. Otherwise, our children, they'll tell you, bye-bye, I'm going to this place and they swim there. And then when you tell her, oh, it's haram against Islam to do this, to do that, you say, okay, why don't you get me something? So you don't want me to live, and you don't want to live. We want to live all together. You won't let me live, and you don't want me to live. No, I want our children, I want them to understand that their needs are met when they go to the Islamic Center, and they will not be forced to do the salat only. These are the things really we can talk about it. Yes.
Some of the masajids don't have as much resources to fulfill needs of the community. Maybe financial, maybe the building's not big enough. In those circumstances, how those masajids or those Islamic centers satisfy the needs of the communities nearby?
You see, here, like, I'm not talking about this place, okay? Because this place, when it was established in mind that that's how we will function, okay? You have limited budget, limited resources, and limited this, but I'm saying this place, like after 10 years, you won't be able to do activities you want here because the community is growing and you can barely, this will turn into a masjid and that's it. But the community need to think what is next. And what is next is to have a community center that the masjid is part of it, because it's very important. The masjid, you cannot function without masjid. You need the masjid because all the activities will exist so that all of them will end up going to the masjid at the end and attending activities and lessons and that. Someone who's coming and say, okay, I'll give you 1 hour to play and swim and play ping pong and do this and give me 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to teach you Quran. And you're not going to lose gas because you move from this room to this room. So you will walk short distance. I will not take too much of your time. Give me half an hour and I'll give you 1 hour. It's a bargaining here. Once we start doing that, and once we start thinking of the idea, the money will come. You want to tell me that Muslims do not have money? And if you survey the Muslims and you look at their big houses, you come and tell me now Muslims do not have money. We have. But why should I give you if you don't take care of my children? Why do you want me to give you? If I see something that, you will take a burden from me, then my wife and I, both of us, will go and work. We'll make more money, we'll give you more money. And when I know that this place is taking care of my children, and my children are growing up healthy, they know their religion, and they have fun, and I'm able to compete with other places that attract them. If I know that, I'll give you money. Why not? Don't look at a couple of families who have limited income and resources on that. Poverty line in America is the exception. It's not like our countries. In our countries, back home, the majority of people are poor. And few you find them rich, few you find them middle class. Here, the majority of people, middle class. And then you have the rich, and then you have the poor. And the poor people, their needs are met. I take from those who are financially well, and I invest in those who are poor. And out of the children, I make them good citizens, successful business people, and they will work, make money later and give me back. You know, last week, I don't know if any one of you heard, 315 million dollars were given to Harvard for public health,
Public health.
school. 3 billion and a half, 3.5 billion or whatever, 50, it's okay, don't worry about that. 3 billion.
It's not big enough.
I don't want to say 15, forget it. $3 billion were given to Harvard to enhance the public health and the research and all these things. And the university immediately, how they responded. Have you ever heard about Mr. Chunk? I never heard of Mr. Chunk. And then the university said, we're going to change the name of the school to something Chunk Public Health School. They said, you tell me there is no money. There's lots of money. And you don't know how money will come to you. When you start doing the right thing and people see you, that really you are doing something for the teenagers and for the young Muslims. You know, today, do you know the number of young Muslims who go with girlfriends? Do you know the number? You will be shocked. Young Muslims going with either girlfriend or boyfriend. You will be shocked to know the number. Why? Who's responsible for that? Isn't it haram this? Aren't we responsible? Aren't we Muslims? We say we love Allah. I said, Allah, He doesn't need our love. We need to love each other. And loving each other. You know, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Man bata ولم يهتم بأمر المسلمين فليس منهم. So if you go to sleep without taking care of the Muslims, then you're not a Muslim. So you look at these things are important, but today things is going selfishness in everything. So everybody will say, why should I invest? So that so and so can come and do Fajr prayer. Okay, all right, we'll make the Fajr prayer. We'll give you a little space. I will give you part of my money, but don't come to me again. Because you know we are human. We like to win. You know we like to hit two birds with one stone. How many of us doesn't like that? You tell me. Yeah. So all of us we like to hit. It's not two. I mean, we exaggerate if we say two. We want to hit 3, 4, 5. I want to feel that if I come to the masjid, I will win. Like this Sahabi who said, I used to enter Islam, take the Shahada, just to eat food. So Islam for them was gain. Was not really something costly. But today, if everything is costly, every time I come to pray in your masjid, you tell me, give me. I said, give me? So what are you giving? So that I can give. There is no 2 birds or 3 or 4 or 5. We need to work within that mentality and think of how to establish Islamic centers that they can function in this way. Sometimes we talk too much, I'm sorry. So inshallah we can still continue talking about this subject.